Hi, this is Mitchell Levy, and welcome to the 80th episode of Thought Leader Life. I'm very excited about this month. We've got Scott Abel. We've seen Scott before. Scott, welcome back to Thought Leader Life.
Thanks so much. I'm happy to be here.
So we not only have Scott for a single episode, but we have him for 5. And I'm really excited because he's coordinated 4 other expert thought leader guests to come join us for the next 4 episodes. And we're focusing on the customer experience and using content to drive an exceptional customer experience. And Scott, I'm just so excited about having you on the air and talking about this topic.
Well, thank you. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I've been trying to figure out for years how to get people to create, manage, and deliver information in more advanced ways. As it turns out, the desire to target the customer and to provide a great experience for them is an easy way to get in the door and kind of get people to start thinking about how they can deliver information differently than they do before. And with all the technology changes that are happening around us today, we have to think differently about how we make content and how we deliver it. So I think while we're busy thinking about how to make it and deliver it and manage it, maybe we should also think about what we're creating and who we're creating it for.
Well, I like it. And we're following a month where we focused on thought leadership at the corporate level and corporations and organizations trying to figure out how to manage the corporate organizational brand from the individual thought leaders, the individual employee thought leadership brand. And so we had a lot of great content and focus there. So those that are interested can go back to previous episodes of Thought Leader Life. In addition to the content we're producing here, Scott, you also have a conference that focuses specifically on that content, and that's coming up pretty in a couple of months. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, September the 30th through October 2nd in San Jose, California. My business partner, Val Swisher from Content Rules and I put together a conference called Information Development World. It's the conference for technical, marketing, and product information people, usually people that don't hang out together or work together, and we're trying to get them to understand that if they collaborate together, they could create a unified tone of voice, a unified messaging, a unified feeling from the brand at every customer touch point. So it's really about using content to create exceptional customer experiences and to admit that we haven't been really good at doing that in the past. The conference website is Information Development World, and people who are listening today or watching the show can visit the website and learn more about it there.
So thanks. I'm very excited. We'll share more about that. We'll include links as well.
Sure.
So I'm very interested. Let me paint a big picture, right? And you and I had these conversations. We're not just talking about the content, sort of marketing junk that are going to try to get people to like or buy your product, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about the entire customer experience. And having just come back from Ireland, I shared before the show, and I'll share with everyone here. It was very interesting. I ended up, I'm a Verizon customer. I like the service because they're covered everywhere. I don't like dealing with Verizon because they know that, and I get charged more than any other service. But they've got great coverage. And but for the month of the previous month, I ended up going to T-Mobile, because T-Mobile has great European coverage. And T-Mobile made it very easy for me to get in, become a customer, pay them the $80 for the month. And when I went to leave, immediately they made me feel good about it. It was simple to, they said, Mr. Levy, why are you leaving? Well, I just needed your service for a month. They said, great, looking forward to having you next time. And that whole experience made me feel so positive. Now, I'm not paying T-Mobile money on a regular basis, but if you take your comment back to that is, well, when T-Mobile or any other carrier catches up to Verizon, what does that mean for me as a loyal customer to Verizon? I'm not. It goes away.
Yeah, I think in your situation, this was about understanding the customer experience at that moment, which is great. And then once you've switched to a different cell phone carrier and you've done whatever they ask you to do with your phone, whether that's changing some software, downloading an app, or putting a card in and taking the chip out and putting a replacement in, whatever it is that you had to do. Once you do that, you're pretty much done because the phone still works the same way, et cetera, et cetera. But other products and services are not that easy. And in fact, we are being disrupted by all kinds of new products and services that have never existed before, right? And so Uber is a great example. It's successful because it's so easy. You push a button and then you can see on the map that they're right around the corner from you. You know the guy's name, what kind of car he's driving. All that content is really relevant to having a great, quick, easy to understand experience. But more than that, that's why they're able to disrupt the regular taxi cab market. Right? And so that's an easy experience to fix. It just was something we didn't think about doing before, because who would want to who thought about disrupting taxi cabs? Well, Uber did. But if you think about more complicated products and services that we buy, there are all kinds of content associated with it, but most people make the mistake of thinking that marketing content is only the stuff that you read or experience before you purchase. Turns out that's not what consumers think. They think that everything is part of your brand experience, and quite honestly, it is. And so if you get dazzled by an offer, let's say you wanted to move to T-Mobile and it was a little more complicated, and the offer was, we can help you with this, and then you went there and then you took advantage of the offer. If all the content they gave you to help you understand how to make this European cell phone service work for you came with a different tone of voice and in different language, and it wasn't friendly anymore. It was scientific and technical. It didn't make any sense. And this is exactly what happens normally with complicated products, and that's because we silo the people who create the content in departments: marketing, sales, training, support, service, warranties, right? And so if you've ever read a warranty for a product, you know that marketing is not involved, because it doesn't sound or look or feel anything like the experience that you had when they convinced you to buy the product. So my argument has just basically been the experience is from end to end, right? It's from the moment they consider you to the moment they ditch you. And then after that, they don't care. So it doesn't matter. And the ditching can be, we stop being your customer, or we just don't consider you anymore. Like, you're not even on the list. And so for you, I would say, if I had to guess, your experience with T-Mobile means that if T-Mobile ever offers comparable service in the way that you need it, they would be a candidate for your business, because Verizon, you're not married to them. You don't feel loyal. Is that correct?
Unlike a bank account, once you get to a bank, you kind of stay there because of the hassle of moving. Unlike a bank account with a cell phone, I'm telling you, yeah, if it was comparable services, hands down, I'd move over.
I'd say that this is an important point to make, right? That the easier it is to commoditize a service and switch brands or switch services, the more important your content is, because the switching ability is so easy. We call this opportunity cost, right? There's a cost to switching your entire HR payroll system at a corporation, not just buying the new software, but the time it will take to take all the information out of the old system and move it into a new system, and the risk that you could mess it up and that you wouldn't be able to pay people on time or process claims or whatever you're doing. So a big, bulky, challenging product might need to be replaced. But it's not so easy as just switching from Verizon to AT&T, right? In a situation where there's comparable service. You're just switching one egg for another egg from a different farm. It's all eggs to you, and you don't care. But if you care, and this is where it's really important, these products and services that they're already taking a risk and it's already a challenge, you have to make the experience the best that it is from end to end. And I think this is where our shortcoming is, right? We say that the marketing content should be the concern, and I'm arguing everything is a marketing experience. It's just up to you to make it not suck.
Exactly. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Scott, I just had the culmination of, I think, a very interesting aha moment I got to write about. And that is, I think the world of tomorrow with SaaS-based products is that any product or service you have today should be almost instantaneously transferable to something else. We should be commoditizing everything, and subsequently, the real value is what this show is about. and that is the customer experience is one in which you're buying into the brand and customer service of whether it's Amazon and Next Day or Second Day Air in a nice way or something else. You're buying into that brand and that service the company's providing, the product or actual fundamental components of what you do, that should be so easily transferable from one to another in this SaaS-based world that you should be able to transfer easy. You just don't because you buy into the brand.
Right, and I think that the fallacy is that because we've been doing things the way that we have for so long that we should just continue doing it. But any leader of a company that's been replaced by the board of directors knows that there were things they could have done differently. And the reason that most people are replaced isn't because they're criminals or something horrible, right? It's because the company doesn't perform up to the expectations they set for themselves, right? Customers, on the other hand, also today are powerful. They set expectations, right? I set low expectations for travel. Why? I don't want to be disappointed, right? Because I expect travel to have some hiccups, right? Some problems. There's some things they cannot do anything about, and there are other things airlines can totally do something about. I was convinced to buy a ticket on a discount airline. My friend took significant effort to try to do this and eventually said, I know how much you hate this airline. So, like, I hate the airline so much, I would pay twice or three times more to not ride on that airplane. And it's because of some other experience I have that's in my memory that makes me not want to choose them, right? So I believe that information is the same. If you have marketing information and sales information and training information and legal information and return information, I need to return my product, or service information, I need to repair my product, or I have a question about the service that you offer me. All the people that they interact with and all the web pages and the pieces of information, the video, the app, anything that you provide for them provides an experience. We want the experience to be as seamless as possible, and we don't want it to introduce a reason for you not to want to interact with the brand. Once this airline did this with me, or once a cell phone carrier does it with you, it doesn't mean I'm never going to use them. It means I don't feel inclined to want to. And the purpose of marketing is a lure, right? We want you to want it. Okay, great. Well, there's nothing worse than wanting something and then thinking you're going to get it. And when you say, yes, I accept your offer, I will purchase your product or service, and then everything changes. And for no good reason. It's a kind of a schizophrenic content experience, right? It's good, then it's bad, then it's good again, and it's confusing, and now I hate your brand, and why can't you people do things the same way? And I think that's a consumer mindset. It's not Scott and Mitchell making this up. Humans have the attraction factor. You're repulsed by things that you need to move away from, that make you feel uncomfortable, that do not reward you with that sense of goosebumps or happiness or satisfaction, and you gravitate, you go toward things that give you the good experience. So why wouldn't we want it all to be a good experience, and why wouldn't we want marketing and sales and technical and support content creators to work together to understand that all this content is created for one kind of customer or one group of customers, but we're creating it differently. Why? It's the same person at the other end. Why are we confusing them with different tones of voice and different kinds of content and different documents? It's easy to say, well, because we're different, but the customer doesn't care. The customer doesn't gravitate toward, please give me a confusing, different experience every time I interact with your brand. They would prefer, as we know, and you don't even need science for this, they would prefer to have a consistent experience. People are more comfortable when predictable outcomes are in front of them. And when they know, for example, that they can go into the Apple store, and they've done it before. So they walk in, they say, I've dropped my phone, I'm really embarrassed, and you hold your phone up and it's all shattered. And then that person takes your phone, walks you through the Apple process. If everything works right, you are in and out of that store in 10 or 15 minutes with a brand new phone, whether you had to pay for it or whether they gave it to you for free or whether you took advantage of their insurance and warranty. the customer service representative is empowered to do every single thing for you to get you in and out of that store. No chucking the responsibility to a different department. They don't say, oh, I'm sorry, you're going to need to talk to the warranty department. However, you try to return an airline ticket, that's a different story. Now you're going to have to go to some other department. You try to stop paying for a software as a service because they don't provide the service they promised to. You can cut off your credit card. You can force them to pay attention to you. So I think the world is going to change. We're going to see customers stop paying for products that charge a monthly service when they're not delivering what they promise. And you're going to see people walk into stores like the Apple Store, or I believe the future will have Amazon stores and Google stores, because those companies get it. They know that they can win. They know they can invent a product in a market that they have absolutely no experience in, like cars or music. And if they do it right and they do it better, including all the content that's surrounding that product or service, they have a high chance of getting some of the market. And they have a really good chance of getting almost all the market if they outperform everyone. And this is what we're after, right? We want to keep our brands that whoever you work for, whatever you do, entrepreneurial, or you work inside a corporation, you're a C-level executive, you have to start thinking about, are we really providing a unified experience, or are we actually creating the challenges our customers face by the way that we're organized and how we work? And if that's the case, stop it. Does it make sense, right?
Right. Well, you're saying, if I summarize it, content is not just king. Content is the king, the court, and all the attendees.
Yeah, and it can't be limited to one department. We hear a lot of this lip service, even from peers that are content strategists of mine. They talk about what they think is important, and I get that. That's their experience. But they kind of poo-poo the other kinds of content as being different. And my argument is, why is it different? Stop telling me this crap that the legal stuff has to be written in legalese that no one can understand. No, it doesn't. If you talk to any attorney who's a disruptor, they're working on ways to disrupt the legal system the way it is today. When you talk to healthcare people who want to disrupt the healthcare industry, they say, yes, that is how we do it today. That's not what consumers want. We're going to try to do something different. And not everyone wins when they test the waters and they try something new, but it's those thought leaders that are out there who say, you know what, this has room for improvement. And if there's room for improvement, customers might recognize that you're trying to improve things. Even with Uber, you have there's the pro and con. It's very successful. They do what they do better than anybody else. I don't care what anyone says. It's totally true. All over the world, I've taken Uber, and they do better than other transportation. They have challenges. There's some negative things about the company and policies and things that they've done or not done or whatever is alleged. Okay, great, but they're new. It's going to take a while, and all old companies also have these issues. They have challenges with where they have their products manufactured and do they play fair, and those are ethical issues, right? Other issues. The fact is, if you offer up a service and you provide the right content and you make the interface easy for the customer, you have a chance of disrupting. And if you are not a disruptor, because let's say you work at a big company that's been around for 100 years and you're a leader there and you're trying to push forward new ways of thinking, you have to be like a mini entrepreneurial department inside that company that wants to disrupt. And I think testing the waters with content is the best way to know, are we reaching the people at every touch point, and do we sound like we work at the same damn company? And if the answer is no, then the likelihood that there's confusion is high. This doesn't take a genius to figure out.
It's not rocket science. This is a preview of the content we're going to be discussing during the next 4 episodes. Scott, I'm really there's not enough time for us to really do all the stuff we want, and it's just so amazing, and it's a very interesting key that'll unlock the door for many companies if they're willing and ready to make it happen. I want to thank Aha for the sponsorship here, just to make sure we can do it. They do shows like we do shows like Thought Leader Life, where we do interviews, and this content will not only be on YouTube and SlideShare, but also on the FIR network and iTunes, as well as a blog post. And we also will extract quotes from this and the other 4 shows and create an Aha book that sits on the Aha amplifier. And that's a tool that allows you to easily share content on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+. That is another interesting way to allow and get your employees and advocates to be able to share content that can produce aha moments in your customer base. So, Scott, if people want to reach out to you, they have ideas, focus, they want to make sure they let you know what we're going to do this month, what would you like? How do they contact?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Scott Abel, Scottabel. You can also send me an email at scott@thecontentwrangler.com. Check out my LinkedIn profile as well. You can just search for Scott Abel. I'm probably the first one that pops up. If I don't look like me in this picture, you know you got the wrong guy.
Yeah, there's a couple Scott Abels, but you're easy to find. Just look for the Content Wrangler, and you are that, my friend. And it's exciting, this level of conversation and what we're going to cover, and how important it is for organizations to transform or disappear.
Yeah, I'm super excited too. There's so many good people that know that this is important, and we're going to talk to at least 4 of them that can tell us things that are not just about what I evangelize, but about how the human brain processes information and why it's important to reward them with consistency and predictability. This is a science-based discussion. Then there are business discussions we can have about the types of content that people are actually consuming and how we know that that's true, and how we also know they do not produce those materials in the marketing department, and maybe there's an argument about whether they should. So I think we've got great topics to talk about all of July.
I'm excited. So feel free to reach out to me, Mitchell Levy, on LinkedIn, or Happy About on Twitter. Just Google Mitchell Levy. You'll find a number of links to me. And I'm absolutely looking forward to having a conversation with you, and particularly with you and your organization about content. Anyhow, Scott, thanks. I'm looking forward to a phenomenal month. Take care, everybody. We'll see you during the next episodes. All right. Bye now.